Hey, hello again. Where do I start on this one? The ceiling, the tech ceiling. I mean, it all started when I saw a video of another YouTuber who kind of said a little bit about what the state of technology, that we're going backwards, and he pointed out the Copilot icon for Excel that was used, kind of like those 6 different icons for using Copilot features, which don't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense why you would do that for a product when no one's asking for it. And what I mean by tech ceiling is that I think we've reached the saturation point where most people just go, there's a kind of an understanding, an underlying undercurrent that what I have is enough. I don't need more. And what is being offered in the space that we call tech is not good. It's not good for the community. It's not good for our society. It's not good for our personal health. Primarily the insidious aspects of social media, which another video talked about the fact that it is essentially a kind of hypnosis that keeps you looking at things, sticking on the screen to sell you advertising, because that's the model that we live in, right? So, and I think this tech ceiling is part of another kind of shift in our cultural zeitgeist, towards or away from capitalism towards something else. What that is, I don't know. But I want to talk about it a little because I'm in the tech industry. I develop software. I will show you this amazing product that I worked on with a few other developers. We built a IoT system device that allows you to connect with things in any kind of vehicle, in a caravan. It is a modular IoT system. Built it. It's incredible. I think it's an amazing architecture. I'll just quickly show you. I'll turn on this device here. I have the actual physical device. This is the app here, right? So I will connect a device, which I'm going to connect into a search for the device. Here we go. Searching. I've turned it on. Is it there? I've got to wait for it to turn on. It's turned on. Ooh, we discovered a device, and you connect to it, and you get stuff, you get information, right? I have to put in a code. It's a debug version, so I don't need to put in a code. There you go. That's it, built. That's it. Amazing, using SwiftUI, iOS version. I have also worked on the Android version of it, right? So I did the Kotlin, did all this incredible work on keeping things I guess the connection system, right? So the auto connect. I did a lot of the UI stuff in Kotlin as well, using Jetpack Compose. I pretty much architected the iOS app. I created a repository, all this stuff. Probably the best work I've done, right? So I've been doing it for a long time. I understand that it takes a lot of time to get to that point, to that level. Beyond, I guess it's kind of like principal, beyond senior, right? Where you're kind of like an engineer that really can build good, well-architected products. I've seen some incredible work from other developers. I've seen some really poor work, not just in the code, but architecture. I've learned what works, what doesn't, over like 20 years or so, 25 years, since I was a kid. 15 years old, I kind of started working on C. Won't go through that story. You can check one of my other videos out. And so, as someone in tech, and I'm building these products, I find that there's more and more small companies that need these services. The product that I built for this company is not big. They are part of a larger group, but they themselves aren't big. The product that I built it for is also it's just kind of like a starting product. It's starting to move, and these products cost a lot of money to build. And if you're building something, you generally, as a business in the capitalist system, needed to make money. This product is only just slowly going to start making money. Huge investment, right? Tech entrepreneurism requires very, very, very high capital investment. And then when you get to these massive juggernauts of companies like Microsoft, Meta, Alphabet, they've got similar things, right? They've got Google Nest, all these kind of things that you can use. I don't know how many people they have in those business units, but given the fact that over 3 or 4 years there's been about 5 people involved in this product from the development standpoint. For the software, there's also the hardware, right? It's an incredible feat. So where do we go next, right? We have this interconnected universal system. We have maybe ambient computing where you can talk to your phone and it will do something. Say, instead of in some cases it makes sense to ask your phone for things. In other cases it makes sense to look at information. But it's something that I think people have overvalued. You're sitting there kind of in front of a screen under kind of like mesmerized, like if anyone knows the whole beginning of Mesmer, you're kind of stuck. And I've noticed that I need to pull away and it's hard to pull away. And I'm like, this is not good. I should be spending time with my family. I should be sitting down and having person-to-person conversations, organizing things with people, It made sense that we, maybe were a little disconnected during coronavirus, but now it seems like, looking at this from the perspective of a father who's got a family, and I'm finding that I need to disconnect from technology in order to build real relationships, and they're the ones that have value. And this comes out of the fact that I had a really, really interesting experience last week with my dad, and we were just kind of like listening to music, having a chat, and it kind of showed me that it doesn't matter what I do with technology on, you're watching this on YouTube, right? It doesn't make sense for me to sit down and watch YouTube. It makes more sense for me to sit down and be with people directly, have conversations. So here as I'm doing this, I'm actually thinking, well, I should be there talking to the rest of the family. But here I am, and I'm a tech nut, and I love writing code. I like sitting down and solving puzzles and, writing code that solves problems. But I think we need to look at how we create products to not take away from human connection. And I find it like a fallacy that, you've got a company like Meta and this whole metaverse thing and this whole virtual reality thing that's just creating a barrier. Like, the technology is amazing, but I don't want to spend more time on the internet. Like, I really don't. I want to spend less time connected to the internet. I want to spend more time going out, maybe taking photos and going for walks and just listening to music and having chats directly with people. But you can always do that. It doesn't take a capitalist system to do it. And so you have this big system that you're in where you're almost programmed to want to use tech and upgrade. And this is where I get to the ceiling of tech point. Because my machine, I can do everything with it. I can do everything with my M1 Mac. My dad can do everything he needs to do with a 2012, 13, and something like 10 years old at least iMac. And emails, sending invoices, writing a few documents, and that's it. And maybe watching movies. What else is there? What do we do when we have this huge push to get new graphics cards to do LLMs a MacBook Pro M4? There is no one who needs a MacBook Pro M4 that can't do what they can do on an M1. I've tested it. I've got an M1 here. I do everything as a professional developer, movie creator, content creator guy that does 4K footage and even 6K, and in some cases 8K for other videos. I don't need any more than an M1, and that's 4 or 5 years old, 2021. But the thing is, if you look back and if you think as to the fundamental things that just a general person who needs to do a couple of things, maybe a recruiter, assistant secretary, a salesperson, a marketer, the value comes from personal contact. No tool really gives you that much more insight. Maybe a trading system, but even then, if you know what's going on, you're going to be much more valuable than any kind of bot or program. And you don't need much to you don't need much in the terms of software to achieve high level of performance in the working world. For instance, if you have a computer that can send emails, you don't need anything more than probably a MacBook from 2010, 12. Like, you don't really need much more than a MacBook Air M1 to do everything that you need to do. And that's, I think, the moment we hit this M1 ARM, this ceiling, I call it, that was the ceiling. Because since then, we've been pushed by the tech giants. We've been pushed this idea that the metaverse and virtual reality is a thing that didn't take off because most people didn't need it. You've got like NFTs and blockchain and cool. People can send lots of money with very little friction internationally now. That was probably 2008, so there hasn't been much since then. You've had a few other things. And now it's, cool. ChatGPT can help the search space to an extent. It's an extra tool that you can use, but it's not like this big hoo-ha. It's like this. It's the same thing as the metaverse idea, the virtual reality. It's got its edge case uses, but the entire tech industry has really run out of things to sell, and that's a big problem because that's how consumerist capitalist systems work. And where do we go from here? I think we go from here into little bubbles of tech communities that do different things for different purposes. So we don't. I think the whole big company thing is done. These it's like, how they call it, like the bubble bursts. It's like it bursts under its own weight because it can't support its weight anymore. And I think that the big companies are at that point, right? They're firing people left, right, and center, showing that they're making money. They're firing people because of AI. No, they're not firing people because of AI. They're firing people because they need to show that they're making money. And if they don't pay wages for certain people, then it looks like on their check sheet or on their balance sheet that they're good. Their share price goes up. But the value they're creating is no more than it was maybe 3-4 years ago, right? ChatGPT again, OpenAI, Claude Code, use it sometimes. As a professional developer, I might reference things maybe once every few days, once a week sometimes, because the code bases that I work in is just much easier for me to dive in, to change something, to edit something, to build a task list, and then actually have it right. And myself write the code or have someone else write the code that's on the team. And it costs a lot less time and effort and energy than if I was to use something like Claude Code or Cursor or any system like that just basically just flops over anything more than one single file. And even then, it doesn't really work very well. So that's the ceiling. And where do we go? We've got this thing like Blue Sky, which I think is great. Twitter's got its own little bubble. So you got the big companies. I mean, Apple still has some weight because it's selling computers, but it's going to slowly run out of computers to sell. I think they already saw this coming, but that's why they moved into the service industry or subscriptions with Apple TV movies and games and all these subscription services, because without it, they're not going to sell you new Macs. New iPhones aren't going to be selling because that again has reached that tech ceiling. But I don't really want to use these subscription services most of the time either. Like I don't want to spend time on the screen. That's good that Apple's going and trying to reduce the screen time. That's great. But then how are they going to survive as a business if they can't make money? I guess they have to try and figure out strategically what they're doing. For me as a developer, I'm here to help small businesses, not huge ones. I'm medium, not small. Let's talk medium-sized businesses, help build unique products for their customers that satisfy their needs. And I'm talking about like million, from 1 to 200, 300, $500 million turnover businesses. That's what I mean by medium, because those are the businesses that can have the resources to get me to help to build and support their products. And so this kind of splintering effect, this bubbles bopping and then lots of little bubbles growing. It's like a little fractal, right? We're zooming in. And so this ceiling, when we push through that ceiling, it's going to explode into lots of little fragments. I like that analogy because that's what I think is happening, because I'm seeing it happen with what I'm doing. Well, guys, that's it. That's it for now. Thanks for tuning in. If you're interested in coding, if you're interested in building stuff, write a comment. Yes, I think I've got my contact details. Send me a message. I'd be very glad to have a chat with you about what you want to build and your ideas. Yeah. Well, take care. Enjoy your day, your week, your month, and I'll see you next time. Bye.